This season for the NBA has been super surprising coming out of the gates. In this video, I'll briefly talk about some of the biggest surprises that you may or may not have heard of. There's a lot to talk about in this video, so let's get straight to it. Before we go on, I just wanted to quickly ask one favor from you. If you could like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would mean a lot. I make NBA related content just like this video, and if you find it enjoyable or educational, a like or a sub would mean a lot. Since you guys crushed the last like goal, I'm gonna aim for something even more. Let's aim for 10 likes. It'll be difficult, but not impossible, so let's get it. One honorable mention I wanted to give before we start off the actual list was Zach LaVine. He had a rise in his statistics, but I really didn't want to add him into the main section of the video because I felt like this was to be expected from him at this point. He's entering into his prime, and a rise in statistical categories is to be expected. Also, his team is performing terribly, so yes, Zach LaVine was a surprise, but not enough compared to the other ones. The first surprise to me, and pretty much all NBA fans I believe, has been the Cleveland Cavaliers' success. Post-second LeBron era has gone really rough for the Cavs until this season. They haven't even come close to seeing the playoffs in the last 2 seasons, but this year, it's different for them. All of a sudden, this group of guys, players you wouldn't expect that would work together, have started to work on both ends of the court. With the addition of Andre Drummond and JaVale McGee, this team has definitely gotten one important aspect covered: crashing the glass and getting those rebounds. However, I truly believe that the front court is to thank for the success, but mainly, there's one guy I would like to highlight that has elevated this team beyond my wildest thoughts. Colin Sexton is averaging 25.5 points per game while shooting 51% from the field. He's been the reason for the Cavs' recent success and is the biggest offensive and defensive weapon for them. He's proving to be a gem with his intensity and willingness to do anything to win. He's just what the Cavs needed for a playoff push. For the Cavs as a whole, they're 7th in the league in defensive rating and 3rd in the league for offensive rebounds per game. On defense, the Cavs have been creating chaos and making teams turn the ball over constantly. If they're able to put that kind of pressure on any team, that will be the key to the successful season. The next big surprise from the start of the season is that the New York Knicks actually don't suck for once. Sorry if I was a bit blunt and rude with that, but it's true. The Knicks haven't had anything going for them since Carmelo Anthony. That era ended 4 years ago, but it wasn't pretty on its way out either. The Knicks are famous for also having bad luck in the draft and just being bad in general, but this year, they've gotten off to a hot start. The team is slowly coming back down to earth, but at the start of the season, you can't tell me that you weren't surprised when you realized that they were at the top of the standings for the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are currently the 8th seed in the East, and a lot of the praise should be put on the young duo of Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett is averaging 17.4 points per game on 41% from the field, while also tagging along 7.1 rebounds. All while Julius Randle is averaging 22.7 points per game on 47% from the field with 11.3 rebounds per game and 6.1 assists per game too. For Julius, you can definitely make it the case for him being the most improved player of the year. He's had a great opportunity with New York to grow and develop his game. Randle is a strong slasher and rebounder and has always had the ability to get you a double-double on a given night. Throughout the years, if you've been keeping an eye on him, you notice that he's really grown into a consistent player on the offensive side of the ball. His strength down low draws attention, which helps his teammates get open as help defenders show up. Randle has shown an improvement in his jump shot, which is always a good sign for power forwards in today's league. RJ Barrett has been a bucket even before entering the league. I've had the privilege to see him play back in high school, and might I say, it was only a matter of time before he would start dropping big numbers in the NBA. I do have to admit that his rookie season was a bit underwhelming. People were hoping a little bit more from him, but regardless, he's still only 20 years old. This season, Barrett has had an improvement in scoring and passing. He's currently shooting 25% from the arc, but the Knicks should allow him to keep shooting it in order for him to grow and become a great scorer he's capable of becoming. The Knicks may not make it far in the postseason, but you have to give credit where credit is due for their hot start to the season that shocked all the NBA fans. Who would have thought that the team that competed in the NBA Finals against the LA Lakers would be absolutely terrible to start the season? The Miami Heat were the team that came out of the East, taking down tough competition like the Pacers, Bucks, and Celtics. They would go on and face a LeBron-led Lakers team and even take 2 games. The Miami Heat leader, Jimmy Butler, has only played 6 games with the team due to protocols. However, in those 6 games, he hasn't seemed to gotten rhythm yet. So Miami is stuck in this weird position where they don't know what to do without their star. They've had to play multiple games with a minimum amount of players, and many of those players are borderline G League players. Despite the struggles to get their actual good players on the court, they've also been having issues with players that don't deserve player time. The Heat are second in most turnovers per game, only behind the Bulls. Without Jimmy, Miami has struggled to find someone to set the pace and keep their offense in line. Bam Adebayo has been great, but he's not useful for what the team lacks right now. The team has also struggled shooting the ball, as they are 23rd in the league for 3-point percentage at 34.9%. I don't want to disrespect Miami or jump the gun just yet. They've been having a rough time because they've had nowhere near a full team for multiple games. Duncan Robinson has been great, and so has Bam. And there are nights where their young players look really promising. But you can't have multiple excuses, so for now, they are one of the biggest surprises because they've only pulled out a few games from the season. The Toronto Raptors. Oh man, where to begin? Just 2 seasons ago, the Toronto Raptors were the NBA champions. Even after the departure of their superstar Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors were still a very respected team, with a fairly young group of guys to lead them. Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam are some of the most talented young stars, but in this season, they just haven't been living up to expectations and success that they believed they would have achieved. Although the Raptors have been winning games lately, the start that they had was horrendous at best, and that's coming from a Raptors fan. They are currently sitting at 10-12 and 7th in the East. There are a lot of factors contributing for their lack of success, and I'll try to go through everything as much as possible without trying to make myself cry. They are 26th in rebounds per game, which is a big issue, and their field goal percentage is also cause for concern at 43.8% per game. However, I think it's the lack of strength and size at the big man position that is costing them games. With Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka leaving the Raptors on short notice, the team scrambled to try to find new big men to replace Gasol and Serge. Those pickups were Aaron Baines and Alex Len. Needless to say, neither could fill the big shoes that Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol had left. Pascal Siakam also seemed to pick up where he left off by seeming to not remember how to play basketball entirely. His 3-point shot is completely gone, and this was the same guy that was the All-Star starter just last year. I know a ton of Raptor fans are just speechless with Pascal Siakam's game right now. All in all, the season is still fairly new, and they have been improving and winning a couple big games like the one against the Brooklyn Nets. I wouldn't be surprised if the Toronto Raptors trade for a big man by the deadline to meet their rebounding expectations. I do see the Raptors gaining momentum and trying to take back their spot as one of the top tier teams from the East. And for the last surprise of this video, we have the Houston Rockets finding a new star. Houston has been very up and down to start the season. Starting over the offseason, with Westbrook and Harden both wanting out, the Rockets were able to unload Westbrook for John Wall in a point guard for point guard swap. Houston also added DeMarcus Cousins and Christian Wood to the mix. Fast forward after the James Harden trade, and now the Rockets have a potential starting lineup of John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, and DeMarcus Cousins. In that lineup, there's been one guy that stands out who has the chance to win the Most Improved Player of the Year. Christian Wood out of UNLV was seen as a rising star last season, but due to the fact that he was playing on a fairly quiet team, that being the Detroit Pistons, he didn't get much attention. Pistons fans knew what was coming, so it was probably really frustrating to see the team let Wood go. Christian Wood is now having a breakout season, averaging 23.5 points per game with the Rockets. In a time where the Rockets are moving away from their long-term superstar James Harden, they really could use a sure positive like having a young star break out. The team is still trying to figure out an identity, but Christian Wood is definitely the highlight of the show, getting a double-double almost every night. At 6'10", 214 pounds, Wood can do it all for a big man and adds a jump shot to the mix, which means he gets a lot of playing time in today's league. All of Christian Wood's stats have risen. In the 2019-2020 season, he averaged 13.1 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game, and just under a block a game. Fast forward to this season, and he's averaging 23.5 points per game, almost 11 rebounds per game, and just under 2 blocks per game. Wood could be potentially looking at an all-star selection for the first time in his career, but I think the main focus for him would be the playoffs, as he said that he wants to be on a winning team. The Rockets' future seems to be unsure right now, but if Christian Wood can become a franchise player for them, it could mean good things to come. Well, that just about does it for this video. If you enjoyed and want to see a part 2 to this, let me know by leaving a like and commenting what you want to see in the next video. If you enjoy this type of content and want to see more of it, please consider subscribing so that you can stay up to date with the videos. But until next time, cheers.